Okay, so if there's any resident that'd like to make a comment before the meeting starts,
I would just like to say, as the head of the committee,
Steve, can you, oh, sorry.
I'd like to say, as the head of the committee, as drafted by my neighbor John some time back, we've made some really good decisions. It's been a very thorough and detailed analysis of where we'd like to go when our contract for CenturyLink expires. We started it early. We're in the right time frame. We're in the right price structure. And I think you'll find if you've read the package, and you will be tested on it later, so that we have really gotten a great deal from our friends at Bluestream, and through the help of our consultants and lawyers, I think we're all really, at least from the committee's perspective, we're very comfortable with presenting this to the board tonight.
Thank you. All right. All right, let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Now we'll call the meeting to order. John Elkins. Here. David Ott. Here. Andrew Emmerich. Present. Ted Reinhardt. Present. David O'Donnell. Here. Rob Purcell. Here. Charles Keel. Here. We have a quorum of the board present. I understand we do not have the regular board meeting minutes from November 21st, so that will have to be tabled to our next meeting in January. So we'll pass that. We'll table that item of the agenda. The one item on new business is the approval of agreement between Sandoval Community Association and Bluestream Communications. And I promise, unless you upset me, I'm not going to read all 29 pages of the contract. Okay. A resolution by the Sandoval Community Association. Whereas the current bulk internet service agreement between the association and CenturyLink, aka Quantum Fiber, will expire April 27th, 2026, and the ad hoc Internet Committee, following diligent negotiations with Bluestream Fiber, also known as Bluestream Communications LLC, as authorized by the Board of Directors in the October 24th, 2024 regular board meeting. Be it resolved that Association Board of Directors authorizes the association to execute the attached agreement between the association and Bluestream Fiber. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Before I turn it over to our consultant, I just have a couple comments I'd like to make. First of all, I'd like to also thank all the members of the Internet Ad Hoc Committee. I think they did a lot of diligent work on behalf of Sandoval. We had multiple meetings in person and via Zoom to work through the process to understand what our requirements are, to understand the proposals that were submitted to the association, working on our follow-up plan, and then working to achieve the agreement. At this time, I'd like to introduce Steve Adamczyk, the attorney we retained. Please stand up, Steve. Steve is a partner with the Varnum Law Group. He represented the Sandoval Association for the negotiations with Bluestream, and he worked closely with the negotiating team to reach the agreement we have today. Thank you. You can sit down, Steve. The goal of this effort is for the Sandoval community to have a fiscally sound, highly reliable, state-of-the-art internet infrastructure to serve the needs of the community for a number of years. It is my opinion that this agreement achieves these goals. Both Joe and Steve are here to answer any questions by the board prior to our vote. I will now ask Joe to stand up and summarize the agreement for the board.
Everybody know Joe?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. This is the third presentation we've had here. Started back in July. We're We kind of introduced our firm, talked about the goals that our firm and the committee had and collaboration had, and the timeline ahead. And at the October meeting, we had a chance to kind of run through all the progress that was made, detailing the goals that were reached, and the committee ultimately making a recommendation. And today, in the packets was the final product, and I'm here to highlight a couple of key components on it. Um, just from my personal point of view, um, it may just be the best telecom contract between an HOA and a telecom provider um, in the state. It's certainly the strongest that I've seen, specifically from a service level agreement perspective, in my career. And in the October meeting, we kind of highlighted all the goals that were achieved, and a lot of those were financial and technological. Phenomenal financials. The 2750 still remains, no annual escalations throughout the term of the 9-year contract, a door fee payment of just under $100,000. And though it's a phenomenal price, we got extraordinary value, I think, in the agreement as well, starting with the gigabit of speed. So that's doubling where everybody's currently at, the 500 megs with the incumbent provider. And we're not going to stop there. We're going to go on up every 2 years throughout the first half of the agreement, ultimately getting to 2 gigs of internet speed with state-of-the-art Wi-Fi 7 equipment. I was trying to upgrade Wi-Fi 7 for my own home, and AT&T unfortunately doesn't have it on out yet. So this, I think, kind of goes to show how far we were thinking ahead in this. Fiber to the home infrastructure with the redundant and diverse circuits. And it's inside the contract. You'll see that there's even language detailing that technology and the fact that if there was a switchover needed, it would take milliseconds. We also have an on-site backup generator included in the agreement. Now, this is what we spent a lot of time working on, the service level agreements that are inside Section 5 of the contract. To kind of give you a starter, so Blue Stream initially in their draft contract was committing to 97% uptime, which sounds great. You're going to be up and running 97% of the time. But when you do the math over 24 hours throughout the 30 days, that's leading over 21 hours of downtime that we're permitting them to have before financial penalties would kick on in. Um, the first I've ever seen, we were able to get 99.9% guaranteed uptime. So 43 minutes. So 43 minutes versus 1,303 minutes, just 3% of that number. And if they fail to adhere to those commitments, there's going to be financial penalties. For the purpose of this presentation, there's a confidentiality uh, agreement that they wanted to have put on in. So it is in the packet that's very detailed with it. What I could say is that these uptime measurements are going to be reported on monthly. So they initially wanted to report on these quarterly. We got them to do it monthly and also with an independent third party participating in producing these reports. We also successfully negotiated the definition of a system-wide outage. So a system-wide outage, they considered something that was 100 affecting 100% of the units here, lasting for 24 hours, and we were able to get that down to only 25% of the units, and getting it down to 12 hours. So significant movement on that front. There's also service level agreements detailing what their call center experience is going to be like. And there's penalties to be had if on average the 1 minute average speed to answer is not taking place on a monthly basis. There's financial penalties and commitments on same day support. The internet throughput, so actually getting the gig that we're paying for. If it's ever going to go under 90% inside a month, there's significant financial penalties on that front. So on everything you see here in those three, there's financial penalties associated with it. Beyond the penalties, though, one thing that was really important was handholding and on-site support. So something that wasn't negotiated in the business side of things, but was inside the contract. Credit to our phenomenal attorney here, Steve, was getting an additional on-site support rep for at least 40 days here on site for the first 6 months. There was a technology review clause that we were expecting to have inside the agreement, and we really beefed that on up. So instead of just having one technology review clause at the midpoint of the contract that we have to ask for, now they are mandated to come to us
and it's to take place on an annual basis every year after year four. And that's important for us to keep up with the times and have an opportunity to negotiate. And the way how I pitched to them is it's a great opportunity for you, Blue Stream, because you have an opportunity to try to seek a renewal every year. So that's something that I think is good for both sides. And then finally, it's inside the agreement that during the installation, the technicians are to set up everybody's devices on the new Wi-Fi. So essentially, a turnkey experience for the homeowner during the install period. We also negotiated an agreement that's going to benefit 1425 homes, but also we use it as leverage to get significant common area courtesy accounts, as they're called in the industry. So these are complimentary TV accounts for these respective areas, internet service for the gates. I think that there's a business bill on that, and I know that backup's needed there, but at least on one of them, you'd have internet service and Wi-Fi hotspots, even up to the bocce court. Um, and then finally, now that when you're reviewing a contract, I really don't like reading off slides, but it was such detailed language that we are able to get here. So pardon me here, but the first thing is that they're going to put together a design plan, and the association has control on that design moving forward. So there'll probably be a construction kickoff meeting somewhere between 45 to 60 days post contract signing. And at that point, a lot of the details will be ironed out, but the design does need to be approved by the association. We've already agreed with them, thanks to Chuck's help and recommendation of putting it near the incumbent. They're what we call the bunker, their head end. It's going to be right along that area, along the veterans entrance. They've committed in the contract to using directional boring with the commitment of no roadway or paved surface being disturbed. We've already talked to them about where their staging area would be, and came to an agreement that the Calypso parking lot would be a great idea. And though they have some phenomenal team at Blue Stream, we want to be able to watch them throughout it. So there's language and a section in there detailing our right to have an association's observer, that could play an active role in communicating with the Blue Stream senior construction team to resolve any issues that may take place. Very important, they committed to wet checks and a commitment to repair all the sprinkling lines. And this was something that was really important to me, especially since construction may be done inside the summer months. Uh, we don't have time sometimes to fix sprinkler lines, and sometimes the grass, the sod, could erode, turn brown. So their commitment to replace sod within 3 business days, that was a priority of mine. And there's detailed property restoration on the landscaping, irrigation, sidewalks, driveways, commitment to have all the trash removed daily. And within 30 days of the completion of the system, they're going to provide a map of the distribution plant and the underground conduit. And that's very relevant because in the agreement, after the termination of this agreement, so 9 years from now, um, Blue Stream would only have a non-exclusive right to the system. So any ability to be able to reuse the underground conduit, that's a possibility. I know it could be very congested inside the front easement. So having extra conduit space, I think, could be a valuable asset to the association a decade from now. And then there's thanks to Dave Hiller and Steve, our attorney. Um, there's a new section in the contract that I've never seen, and this is mechanisms for property condition dispute resolution. So this is really for the individual homeowner. And instead of having to chase Blue Stream on, fix this for $200, we kind of put in place a tiered approach depending on the severity of the issue. Anything under $1,000, Blue Stream's going to cover. There's remedies if it goes from $1,000 to $10,000, and there's remedies for it to go above $10,000 as well. And anything under $10,000, if it's determined that it's Blue Stream's fault and they don't pay within 30 days, Sandoval has the right to deduct those amounts owed to Blue Stream, so you don't have to chase them down. Um, so altogether, I know that this will be mostly Q&A, but these are the primary highlights that I really wanted to point on out, particularly on the SLA side, the construction side, and then again showing the great deal points on the financial side and technology side.
Sure. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Would any board members like to ask questions?
David, on question. On exhibit C,
Could you get a little bit closer, please?
is my mic going?
No.
On Exhibit C, there is a list of all the carte offerings that are beyond the 2750 bulk rate. I wanted to understand of those listed items, how many of those bundled items are subject to change over the 9 years? And any kind of color you can add. It's
Yeah, so from a consultant standpoint, so Exhibit C details a la carte retail options that the homeowner could contract with Bluestream on an individual basis. So this is something separate outside of the bulk services. There is leeway for the provider to change pricing on these or change some components of what's being offered. Um, and that's primarily because it's on a retail basis and not on a bulk basis. I could say just at least in the last 10 years that I've seen these, I haven't seen much changing other than the prices. They're still the traditional cable options. Still able to buy the HBOs and get a home telephone. But this offers another pathway for homeowners to get a traditional cable. Right now, only 12% of the community is purchasing traditional linear cable with Comcast, and the others are either completely streaming or using YouTube TV or Hulu or DirecTV Stream. There's a lot of different options. So this is another um, pathway for the homeowner to shop for primarily traditional cable.
Right. And also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, there's about 3 dozen or so residents that utilize the local telephone service from CenturyLink that they could transition to that telephone service down the road.
Good evening on my end as well. Just note that we did revise this to clarify that the association would never be responsible for these fees. There was some language originally which indicated that some roundabout way you could say, well, the association might be responsible if the owner doesn't pay their individual subscription services. And we added language to clarify that can never be the case.
Good. Any other questions? Okay. Ready to call for a vote? Okay. Because we're on video, I'd like to, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. We have completed the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting